And we're live.
Hi, everybody.
Wow, we did that like perfect.
We did. All we have to do is stop talking at 2 minutes prior and we're good.
Or at least 2 seconds.
At least 2 seconds. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, happy Friday, Karen.
Happy Friday, Lenny. Happy Friday, everybody. Sometimes those Fridays just come and it's like, woo, that is a welcome day of the week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. This has been it's been a crazy week, and next week too. It's just really busy right now. Yeah.
True.
Well, and you just got back from a little trip.
My little adventure yesterday, like full disclosure, it's barely a trip for me. I mean, it's a half-hour drive up to Yale University in New Haven. I was at the Insights On conference yesterday. It's still going on today. I only attended yesterday. That's put on by the Yale Center for Consumer Insights and the Yale School of Management. And I had never been to this event before, but I figured, I'm only half an hour away. This is a good year, good year to head on up. And it was really nice. It was, I don't know, I can hardly really describe it because the sessions were so unlike the other industry events in that they were, first of all, they were long, they were very in-depth. And by long, I mean, an hour, very in-depth conversations. So, and just hit pretty high level topics. It was really indicative of being at a school of management, high level leadership and kind of how the insights industry really feeds into that. It was very cool. And so many of our partners were there. So that was really exciting for me as well. I didn't expect that. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect to see so many of our partners. Stravito was there and Skim was there. Discuss.io was there and sponsored by Susie, and Ipsos was there and Material was there. Like it was just a lot of people that, anyway, that showed up for this little event. So pretty cool.
And some heavy hitters from the brand side as well. Some real thought leaders.
Yeah, I mean, Stefan Gans, who is going, spoiler alert, he's going to be on our podcast quite soon. He's the SVP, Chief Insights and Analytics Officer at PepsiCo, and Nick Graham, who's, also part of our ecosystem. Also SVP, Global Head of Insights and Analytics at Mondelez now. They made a little bit of comments about how he's from Pepsi. That was kind of fun to see that all play out. But anyway, and Jing Mertugli, Global VP of Insights and Analytics at Beam Suntory. We had Colgate Palmolive there. We had LPGA there. That was very cool. He's on my list to reach out to maybe get him at North America next year. Fingers crossed. JP Morgan Chase, HP, AB InBev, just DoorDash. Like it was like there were 8 talks throughout the course of a single day, but there were some heavy hitters pretty high up in organizations. So talking about, like I said, this high level stuff today, again, I'm not there because I had too much to do here. But it's highly academic, with researchers from UCLA. I have the list right here. UCLA, University of Chicago, Washington University in St. Louis, Duke, Stanford, University of Rochester, and of course, Yale School of Management again. But today was a highly academic day, which would have been really interesting if I could take 2 days out. But
sure, yeah. Plus, our dear long-term friend Stan, Stan from Coke, Stan from Unilever. That's it. Now Stan, just independent advisor across the board.
I just don't know that there's a nicer human being in the industry, and I know I've probably said that exact thing before, but he's so kind and, still showing up, even though he's retired, still showing up and still doing the thinking and the engagement. I mean, I feel very blessed to know that man. So
yeah, absolutely. Stan's great. So cool. And so you had this wonderful experience, and now we're heading into a significant weekend in a variety of ways. First, happy Mother's Day to you and to all the other mothers.
Thank you. Yes, happy Mother's Day to everybody who's a mother, not me, but actually to myself too. Mother's Day is probably, fun fact, my favorite day, even more so than my own birthday. I really like Mother's Day because it's like motherhood is such a big part of my identity, and those people are like, I would rather be with the people that made me a mother than just, anybody else in the world. So I just love Mother's Day so much. And I get to see my own mother. She's not that far from me. So it's, the full circle of motherness is happening in my world.
No, very cool. We'll enjoy. And we may even get a light show over the weekend. So PSA, it's amazing how number of people I've spoken to already who are not aware that there is a massive geomagnetic storm watch. The sun has sent out, as of this morning, 6 X-class flares heading directly for us. Hopefully we just get like the aurora throughout the northern hemisphere and not the all of our electronics are fried element of things. So
yeah, I'm not terribly concerned about that, but I am concerned that the clouds don't move out of the way, because I will set my alarm for 4 a.m. I read locally that 4 a.m. might be the best time for us here, in southern New England, to kind of wake up and look outside. I will set my alarm to see if the clouds are gone and there's any hint of anything, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'll go right back to bed after that. If it's not, I'll look outside and I'll say, yay or nay, whether I'm going to put in any effort here. But I would love to see it, the Northern Lights. It'd be beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be very cool. So, all right. And then speaking of beautiful, should we talk about industry developments and news in this beautiful industry that we're in? So
yes, it is a beautiful industry that we're in, worth celebrating. So yeah. Well, we don't usually, this one was really interesting. I sat with this for a while. We don't usually share kind of, the people, the hirings and the promotions and all that.
This one is different.
This one is different, right? So the appointment of Marianne Paco as CEO of Ipsos North America. And I like it for a couple of reasons. First of all, female CEO, like I'm all on board when there's a female CEO. We did a lot of talking at the event that I went to 2 weeks ago about where all the female CEOs, like, why are they not on stage? Like, anyway, so I'm really excited about that.
Yes. And Marianne is a legend, right? I mean, she has been very senior roles throughout the industry for a very long time. I mean, my entire career, I expect yours as well, right? She's always one of those names. I have never had the pleasure of meeting Marianne. We've exchanged emails or whatever, but we've never met. But big deal, big deal for Ipsos, big deal for the industry. Really super experienced, thoughtful player, and I think that shows also the commitment for Ipsos in the U.S. Overall as a major market, to put somebody like Marianne in that leadership role. So a plug for Ipsos Mori, the UK arm of Ipsos, one of our EU sponsors.
Yep. And forward to seeing them there. And I'm sure that this news is, making the entire organization, take note. So it's good stuff.
Well, yeah, and one last with that in just context, we saw with the big four, right? With Ipsos, Kantar, Nielsen, GfK.
Yeah,
that's not the world that we are in now. Yeah. So when we think about full service market research firms, there's Ipsos.
Yeah,
they are in a unique position. I mean, Kantar, is still certainly a significant player, but they're in a different journey as a business. The GfK and Nielsen merged. They're Nick. They're very specialized. Ipsos is the dominant full service market research company on the planet.
Yeah.
And that's not, there's many others coming up behind them, right? We live in interesting times, but they just serve at this point a very unique role and have a very unique position in the industry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, they always, each one of our events, there are, we put out these call for speakers, and we're really looking for something either very unique, as having done what I do also, you're looking for something that's really unique, or, incredible thought leadership, pushing the industry forward. Great if they have brand side speakers also, that, that always helps with our call for submissions. But Ipsos is pretty reliable to put forth some good thought leadership too. Like they understand the assignment of a call for speakers, and they're doing great work, but they're also doing great thinking.
Absolutely. There's a reason why they're Ipsos, why they're in that position, right? Sometimes we get kind of, it's because of consolidation. Well, yeah, that helps, right? I mean, yes, acquiring companies, big companies get bigger by, growing, and consolidation is a piece of that. But it's not only, if you didn't do good work, then no matter who you bought, it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah.
So, All right. Well, speaking of good work too.
Yeah, and speaking of growing, good work, growing,
Yeah.
two topics that go hand in hand. So Access Intelligence has officially changed its name. They're now Pulsar Group. So Lenny, I don't know how familiar you are with the Pulsar platform, but I love seeing about these, move to publicly traded companies.
Yep, absolutely. So shout out to Francesco and the team at Pulsar. I knew them back when they were part of Face, and I was actually an advisor of Face Group many, many moons ago before Pulsar became the thing. So long journey, great work. Now another publicly traded company in the insight space. It's always great to see that happen. So on the London Stock Exchange. So very cool. Very, very cool. Congratulations to everybody. And we'll look forward to seeing where they go. I always appreciated their platform. They were early in social media analytics, but they became so much more. And they had a very thoughtful approach to kind of specializing around specific elements and business issues. So it was a differentiator for them than just a tool. So that's obviously paying off.
Yeah, I know. Well, just started trading this week, so we'll see. We'll have to take it back. We really need, Lenny, you got to do this for me. We really need that list of what are the companies that we're tracking their performance on, anyway, I'm sure you have some of that, but every time we mention something like this, I'm like, we really should circle back and see how they're doing. So maybe, idea. Maybe we do that on our 1-year anniversary as we talk about, the performance of these companies that, we reported we're going public on the course of this past year. Anyway.
Absolutely. I know it. If you looked at my my investment portfolio, you would see quite a few of these companies. And just because, because I want to show them some love. But anyway.
Another segue. Speaking of showing people some love,
yes,
I'm really excited about this one because we're talking about forethought and their AI brands, comms.ai. Launched this week, a tool that generates creative ideas for advertising testing to test with real consumers, all with, this AI customization. But the firm's founder and executive chairman is Ken Roberts, and he's one of our channel hosts. So that's exciting for us. I'm really happy to see about this one and see some of the growth of that company.
Absolutely. Ken, longtime friend of Green Book. Great guy, and yes, the thought leadership. What's interesting though about that product, let's talk about for a second, because it is it generates creative ideas that are tested. So rather than being just not just a testing platform, they're leveraging AI on the front end for creative concepts and then testing those. That is welcome to the new world, guys. So real, and with their whole thing has always been around understanding emotion and impact and values, kind of non-conscious measurement from that standpoint. So that's all baked in. So cool. We will see more of these things.
And I want to add a little context to it, because yesterday there was a really poignant statement from Carla Hassan. She's the CMO at JP Morgan Chase. And she at one point was talking about content. So my ears are perking up, right? But she's talking about how the people who typically do their writing, she is working on shifting their jobs from writing to editing. And really, nurturing the latter skill set over the former. And I just thought that's a really interesting way to think about it. So you think about like these creatives who, their egos could be really in the way here, just like a writer's ego could be really in the way here. But if your role is shifting from taking what generative AI can assist with and then taking it further, developing it further, making it better, making it stronger, you become a creative developer, not just a creative. Take these AI ideas that are testing well and then blow them out. Anyway, that was just one little nugget from yesterday that I think is highly applicable when you're trying to wrangle this space of generative AI as a creator. It's not going to be the equivalent of human creator, but it could give the creator their leg up, a significant leg up.
Yep. So longtime listeners, and you specifically, will appreciate this. I finally started using Copilot um, in the last week or so to create. I'll tell you very specifically from a Green Book standpoint,
Yeah.
our tech showcase, and I needed to create a deck for the tech showcase,
Yeah.
and I had an incredibly short period of time, so I had this. Well, and the topic was chatbots,
Yeah.
and so I used Copilot to create that deck and presented like look, here's an example. And those who know, I have been resistant to doing that because of my Luddite tendencies. More like, I just know me. I don't want to become dependent on that from a creativity standpoint. But
I was thinking of you yesterday because one of the things that Stefan said was that he doesn't see laziness as a bad thing when it comes to AI. He doesn't see that as a bad thing. And as soon as he said, I don't think laziness is a bad thing, I thought of you. And I was like, I wish Lenny was here. I'd start elbowing because his point was you become so busy, you don't have time to do the thinking that we need to do, right? The kind of reflective thinking that happened at an event like yesterday for me, I was like on fire, or the type of critical thinking we need to do as business leaders. And another quote from him, creativity gets buried under a ton of work that we need to get through. So it's not laziness, right? It's allowing your brain to actually do the more important thinking if you let the tool, do some of the other stuff. So reframing all of that for you, it's a big deal.
It was. I'm
proud of you, Lenny. I'm very proud.
Well, so we've been beating the horse. You got the horse, right?
I do.
We must adopt. We must.
This is the living side of the horse, though, because every time I see this side, I do feel I'm gonna just focus on it.
But I was being hypocritical, and I'm now I am not. I can be accused of many things, but now it is not hypocrisy. When it comes to this, I dived in. Finally, resistance is futile, guys.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all good. Jing actually said yesterday in the same subject, I just keep looking at my notes there. She said, she quoted, somebody else had said this, I think, but you can't think if you're being chased by a tiger, and the tiger meaning all of the work that we have to do. You can't think. The whole idea that these tools, generative AI tools, if used the right used the right way, will allow us to do more thinking, which on some level, how many times have we around here said, part of why we're in this job is to think, but we don't have time to think. So I'm sure I am assuming that's a concept that resonates with people, is being too busy to think. So good for you. Do more thinking. That
is what needed to happen. I had to do.
Be the master over it, right? You're the boss man.
That's I don't know about all that, but so on a similar note, I assume new products. Let's go through this. The survey. survei.me, instant user feedback collection. What jumped out at me is another example coming at, they're using research technologies and approaches from a whole other angle.
And also the usability of, or the ease of the user interfaces. And that's what's starting to strike me about some of these new products that are coming up is, when you click on, many of the websites where they have tools, the tool is kind of built into a very complicated site. But when a new product like this pops up and it's actually quite simple, it makes me feel like this will be simple to use. So from a usability standpoint alone, people should be checking out these new tools because they are saying, here's my tool, here's its use case, and they're keeping it from being too complicated, which I think is helpful in 2024.
Yes, and it is democratizing insights and broadening, making the pie bigger, right? That's important consideration. I know there's still a lot of us that struggle with, we're giving guns to children. These tools are designed with best practices already in mind, right? They have a specific use case. And I think anything that broadens the utilization of research solutions and research best practices and thinking is a inherently good thing. And here's another example of that.
Did you look at this Measure Protocol? I have not clicked on this one.
I do. So Measure Protocol, another past winner of the Insight Innovation Competition. And a little more, Measure came along during the great the great blockchain race of 2017, right, along with Veriglyph and a whole bunch of other companies that were all playing with variations on the theme of personal data networks, et cetera, et cetera. Owen and his team have done a great job. They're not just still standing. They're the only one from that whole kind of class of innovation flurry that has succeeded and developed a really great commercial business. So they introduced their affinity and power index tools. They capture multiple data points of the consumer experience across the board, and they monetize, let the consumer monetize that fairly, and it's privacy compliant, and it's a great solution. And they are growing and developing more use cases for the data from their user base. So and great, another example of a past competition winner continuing to kick ass and take names.
Good things, doing good things. Yeah, that's cool. And the next thing that we have to share is actually really interesting because it's a leg up, right? So Amazon has something now called Bedrock Studio, which is allowing or facilitating, aiding organizations who are experimenting with developing AI applications. So I'm like, all right, Amazon, I see what you're doing there, getting into that, incubator aspect of the world, right? So pretty cool and pretty important to pay attention to as well, right? Like
absolutely, simplifying the AI development, and you think about Amazon as an ecosystem, and they are, right. I suspect that one thing they're thinking of is, okay, plug these into the Amazon ecosystem, and how they deliver more value around advertising. And people don't they do have the second largest advertising network in the world.
Right.
So there's a lot there that can be done with data and insights, and of course the product volume, the thing for shopper insights. I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of things that all the media channels that can be leveraged internally. So I'm guessing it's a piece of that they want to accelerate people developing tools that can be monetized and useful within their ecosystem.
Right. Well, and I mean, on some level, there's a space for that, obviously. And I think about the analogy to what they did for a lot of authors, which is they just self-publish right into our ecosystem, and then those books don't even necessarily see, it's like akin to movies that go straight to streaming. There's books that are going straight to the Amazon network without having to go through traditional publishers and all that. So they just streamline a lot of this for individuals who don't have a chance, right, to break it in a bigger way. So I'm sure this will allow opportunity for even more innovation from people that, maybe they're just missing something that's not being recognized in a bigger way, but it can be recognized by a conglomerate. So it's kind of cool.
Yep, absolutely. Interesting world.
So,
And then we get into, and we're doing, is it just me, or does it feel like we're doing really good on time? And we're being, it doesn't feel like we got a lot to cover, but it feels like we're just kind of rolling on through in a very cadenced way. So now I'm going to ruin that with these.
No, you're not going to ruin that.
I'm not. Okay. All right.
We can talk offline about why that is.
Okay. Oh, yes. All right. Well, let's talk about this. These last three. It's all you termed this navigating the ongoing challenges as a block of content.
This article was really interesting. So Lenny actually found this, an article that speaks to a survey that GRBN, the Global Research, it's Andrew Cannon, which I didn't realize.
The Global Research Business Network.
There you go. There you go. I was like, interesting. So this is some research about how research firms are feeling about the risks involved, and it's worth a read, right? Whether you kind of agree with what this data depicted or whether you disagree with it, it's still interesting to read about, right? Because we're all a part of that industry. So I'm basically saying that we collectively are not convinced that the risks aren't large when it comes to data quality in particular, right? So
absolutely. You want to pick up the horse?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I shouldn't put it down. The thing is, I have to tell everybody, every time I do this, my dog like gets this look in her eye. And the other day, I literally saw my dog like staring at it, and I'm like, this poor little baby horse is, like I'm so worried about it and whether it gets consumed by Maggie at some point. But still gonna look right over here. I take good care of it. Okay, onward.
Well, no, I think that let's dig in that just for a minute, because it is an important data point, right? We've known, and we know in the upcoming grit, in the grit forum, in the grit report, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, adoption, is, there's a lot of reticence still.
Yeah.
But need to reiterate, and rightfully so, especially in this issue, data quality, absolutely huge issue for us.
Yeah.
But this, I still, what I tell every Gen 2 client is, you can have all the reservations in the world that you want. That truck is still coming straight at you.
Yeah.
So, right. And these are all important issues to navigate and work through.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we need to be a voice of reason and efficacy.
Yeah.
But there ain't no sidestepping it.
Yeah. And I think what was interesting about this is if that like the kind of the issues about quality and trust, they are sort of laddered up here into a company's reputation, right? So this kind of makes it a little more personal. It's yes, there's this existential, threat to the industry, but also if a company messes up, then it's a threat to that company's reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is that was a difference that when I read this, I thought, yeah, that's really interesting, because there's the two different risks, the risks at a meta level and then at an individual firm level.
Absolutely.
You don't want to take a chance on AI generated work that then is wrong, and then that ruins your reputation. So you have to go into all of these tools, experiment with all of these tools, knowing the risks, and then being able to mitigate them, having a plan in place.
Yeah, and even back to the previous conversation around editing, right? But me utilizing this personal example, utilizing Copilot to collect information that I needed to synthesize, that was a huge time saver. But I still needed to make sure that it was right.
Yeah.
So right.
Yeah.
So we don't get to outsource our responsibility for accuracy and impact.
Right. Yeah, and even yesterday, one more kind of nugget from yesterday. This was, Nick Graham, when they were talking about AI on that panel that he sat on. One of the thoughts that he had is kind of, before you go into usage of these tools, make sure you have clarity on what need you're solving for. Like, just be really mindful. Like, I am using this tool for this reason. Have that clarity of mind. What is the purpose? And then you'll be able to evaluate new tools, knowing what your business use case purpose is before you even start. And then that way you're not just blindly going into adoption. I just thought that was also very good advice.
Absolutely. All right. Two last things. I just saw an interesting article around the convoluted and privacy law system here in the U.S. 2/3 of U.S. states have enacted or introduced comprehensive consumer privacy laws. We need to stay abreast of those, and they're all different.
Yeah.
So, in doing work in the U.S., remember, we have to check on those things. California may be radically different than Kentucky, for instance.
Right. So, and they're on the side of caution for sure. Like, when you're asked to share data, for example, think long and hard about, is there a privacy law I'm going to breach here? What do I need to look up to make sure that I can share this information? And
Yep. And our friends at Insight Association, that's my recommendation is, that's what they're there for. And they do a fantastic job of keeping abreast of this stuff. Yeah. So,
all right. So we have Carly can share. We have one last article that really is just an interesting read, right? To on the industry. So it's, it's by Market Vision. We'll just share that. It's an interesting read. But But, you know, we want to wrap in the last few minutes with some, you know, shameless plugs. So
shameless plugs. Absolutely.
Grit Forum, IIEX Europe. So
yep.
We're at first the Grit Forum. Lenny, give him a heads up. That's next week.
Grit Forum next week. You guys want the sneak peek on this upcoming edition of Grit? It's a important one. It really, really is. And this is where you'll get that sneak peek. Karen and I are going to give you a quick summary of kind of the major highlights, and then we're going to have 2 panel conversations with different commentary providers on their take on sub pieces. But if you want to get a jump on everybody else and get into thinking about the implications of the really profound information that we are communicating in this report, this is where you do it.
That's Wednesday. Yeah. So cool. And then of course, registration is in full force, registration for IIEX Europe. So we have a great agenda. I don't think we have anything. I don't think we have anything left other than for people to register. We have a full agenda. We have, you know, a full sponsorship load. Actually, I think there was discussions about whether we can find more space at our venue for even more, because demand is pretty high for this event. So anyways, yeah, it's pretty
and then
cool.
The heels right behind that will be IIEX Latam.
Yeah.
So
super exciting.
Yeah. Guys, if you like the show, our events are this on steroids. So that's we take all the best of everything and pack it into our events. So,
we do the best of everything. Well, the best of everything to your wife and the mother of your children.
My should be sainted wife. Absolutely. So I will do that. We have big plans to make it nice for her. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Tim, I know you're listening. You better make sure that the kids treat Karen right.
I say to him all the time, I am not your mother. So, you know, like he, you know, his mother doesn't live close to us anymore. So I'm like, you worry about your mom. I can worry about my mom, but you sure as heck make sure my kids worry about me.
Absolutely. That is the way to do it. All right. On that note, all moms have a wonderful weekend. Hope everybody enjoys maybe seeing some Northern Lights, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
That's a deal. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.